You get past the first 3-4 days, and then from day 5 to day 365, before you parachute in and say, we're going to do a documentary about what went wrong here, where are you going? Like, in other words, is there going to be a local paper in Newport News and Charleston that's going to have a newsroom, that's going to have 5 different people who you could talk to? No, I don't believe that. I mean, I know that a lot of those people are gone. I don't need anybody to tell me that. So what do? It means makes your job as a documentarian much harder, I would assume.
It does, but in a way, it takes you back to the roots of it all. You become the local reporter. You need time, right? If you don't have time, you're in trouble. I think national news broadcasts that have to hit a deadline every day, they have a bigger problem than I do as a documentarian. If I decide that I'm going to do a story on a true crime tale, some part of the country, I'm generally given enough time to get in there and get on the ground. And yes, a lot of the local media is gone, but depending on the case, depending on the story, you can start to find people. And when you pull on those threads, you will find locals who have credible information. You will find somebody who covers schools on a website who actually is not bad at what they do. These are scraps compared to what was there before, which you cannot ever assume. One, you cannot assume that anything that you find on the internet is worth a damn. So I wouldn't trust any of that. I would double, triple, quadruple check any of that. But then you have to go and you get on the ground and you start making calls and you become the local reporter and you just work as hard and fast as you can. And every bit of your judgment is on the line because you don't have anybody who's pre-vetted the information. You have to make judgment calls about who's a reliable player, who may be feeding you false information, who maybe doesn't have the whole story, but thinks they do. All that stuff falls on the documentary team. So when I choose my teams, I choose reporter types and writer types, because the second part of this is not just the reporting of it, it's knowing, because in these environments, it's very hard to learn on the job. Like with a documentary where you're given a big chunk of money to get the job done, you need people who know how to report, and you need people who know how to distill all that information into an understandable narrative that is at the same time dead accurate, right? And if they can't get there, they know where the holes are. Right? Because the nightmare, the mortification for any serious journalist is you got it wrong. Mm-hmm. It's not whose side are you on. It's not adjudicating, well, they said this, we need to balance it with that. No, the point is you got to get it right. And will you go where you need to go to get it right? And if you don't get it right, and I don't just mean like a central thesis, I mean anything. When I was a print reporter, if I misspelled a name, I was utterly mortified. And most of the people I worked with were the same, right? So that's the issue.